Okay, here we are. I guess we are finally here. It was kind of time for it to happen. Hello, 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 everybody. Hello, dear mod watchers. Hello, Kinko. Hello. Oh man. Well, I guess it really is going to be an event today. Oh man, what a lovely, lovely thing. It is the fucking mental health. Yeah. Well, I guess I will have to do the most basic thing, and it is to give the whole list of topics that will be happening today. They are, in a sense, only three, so we're fine. Not really, but we're going to see how it all goes now. Let me separate everything a little bit just in case, because Twitch decides not to do the work properly. It's work. Well, it isn't that heavy, I hope. So, even if it feels heavy for me, it might as well be one of the most enjoyable things to hear from the potato guy. So, we will see how it all ends up going down. The only thing I will say is that it probably becomes a very, very ramble moment. I don't really know if I will be kind of able to stop once I keep going. It really is. Wait, before I say anything else, there it is on the chat. And well, I don't really know if I will be really able to stop myself from rambling this time around. But well, it is all for the sake of clarification and how will I say it? Not having to do this work later on, removing from me and from my own Chuba responsibilities the need of talking about it once again, so to speak. Even if it is something that I myself decided to speak about, so I can't really blame anyone else aside from the potato itself. But well, I guess it is fine. I guess it will be fine. I really don't have a problem with it. I mean, you can call me I love Pupo if you want, or I love Pupo. Well, yeah, I love Pupo. Pupu. Well, yeah, it would be more to be like Pupu than Pupo. Pupo isn't really anything. Pupu is Pupu, but Pupo isn't an insult, I think. So it is fine. Whatever it is fine. But well. Oh yeah, I really don't find on me the interest of. I was thinking before really activating the mic that it is kind of. I think I don't find an enjoyment in talking about, so to speak, because it only comes from the part of me that doesn't want to broke that kind of silliness that created around the potato itself. But at the same time, it also is part of the process to break it in a certain way. At the end of the day, if I have any kind of objective by streaming, it really is kind of meaningless to limit myself. But well, we will kind of see some things related to that basically in the next. Well, not in the next, in the main topic. Before I really need to do some warnings and all of that, just in case. I don't really think it will be one of those. I hope it isn't one of those legendary bots that people come to watch years and years later. Because the only real point I know is that I am no professional target and even less psychologist to speak about anything of what I'm going to do right now in a proper manner. So well, we'll see how I'll goes down. I am just delaying it as much as I can because I don't really want to. But well, we're going to see. Let me just in case have the chat over here. Well, let's start as I said, or well, as I sent in the message, with the proper warnings. Just as I said before, I am in no way licensed professional. I am in no way a psychologist, and even less a philosopher to speak about anything of what I'm going to in a manner that I know will be helpful to anybody. So you might as well not try over here if you are interested in the topic of accountability of oneself, so to say, from a really good speaker or public speaker, at the very least. But anyways, without being more detrimental on myself, aside from that, it might also be kind of hey, I at least I know around this place we kind of struggled with that idea, so it might not be the best to decide to consume the whole content in one go, in case you are watching the wall. And well, in case you are watching this live, I don't know, mute the stream, give me a review, yeah. And well, what other warning should be important? I'll raise it, I am no professional. I'll raise it. If you feel like it is too much, you can stop watching whenever you want. And well, also, a kind of warning will be that if you find it interesting or kind of appealing, but at the same time harsh, it might as well be one of those videos that you wouldn't want to skip, so to speak. But we will see. You will notice later on as this keeps going on. Right now, this is only a simple warning for those who might need it or might not really have come here expecting anything and decided to stay regardless of what I just said. So I think we're fine. I think we're completely fine in that sense. Well, yeah, I another thing will be that I need some kind of background noise. I need to go for a long time, so I'm sorry if it is too loud. I need some more guitar noise, guitar riff, something like that. There it is. How much was that? 3%, 4% more, something like that. But anyways, we're fine. Okay, just in case. Okay, the next part is basically where this idea came from. The main part will be to say let me go back a little bit. I have been thinking a lot before hitting the stream button and I kind of lost where it was. But yeah, we were talking earlier today with one guy and we ended up kind of speaking about the idea that at the end of the day we have a lot of problems with what we do and how we do it and how we go about things in general, but it is also, or it was also a main topic to say that even if it was kind of hard for us to speak about anything of that, the only real persons to blame were ourselves, not because they were in any sense sensitive topics, but rather because we ended up thinking they were, when in reality a lot of times when we try to go about them, nobody really seemed to notice or really seemed to react negatively. So that was kind of the way of how I remember that this was a thing, and the most important part, this was something really important to talk on stream, so to speak. But well, I don't think I can add anything else from that sense. I don't know. Then the other side will be why talk about it now. And well, as I said before, I want to get rid of it as soon as I can. I do not want to carry the ledge of knowing that I have such a heavy topic in front of me, hanging around my mind for any longer, so to speak. The moment I noticed I had to deal with this, I also noticed the more I let it grow, the more it will end up snowballing into something even bigger than myself, so to speak. Not because it really is a bad topic, but rather it is one of those ideas that you might overwork yourself with. But well, I don't really think we are on that path today, so I only know I'm going to kind of ramble a lot. I only know that because there are a bunch of definitions, there are a bunch of things that we need to grab together and to really compress in one idea to try and really talk about it properly, even more from the point of view of oneself, so to speak. But yeah, I don't think it will be something bad to hear. Just in case I gave the warning, because some people might struggle with it, some others might not. We never know. And in this case, I find it important to give such a thing. Is there anything else to say? Well, I think there is nothing else to say about that. Just well, yeah, I would like to say that I'm kind of sorry because I am taking it in such a serious manner that it might fight with the whole kind of aura that I had before when I stream, but it really is one of the weirdest concepts I have faced well, at least until this point in my life. So it really is kind of weird, not only to think about it, but also to try and explain it to, as I was thinking earlier, an invisible third person, so to speak, to a completely full of possibilities hearer of the message. So I really kind of struggle in these times when I have to convey such an idea. But well, time to stop the self-pitying and all of that, and let me make the final timestamp and let's get onto the rambling itself. Well, I will say 18. Yeah, just in case, let me here activate this, and we're fine. Just in case, I don't think anybody will ignore it, but just in case we're feeling like it, or we're not understanding that this is going to be a real rambling just by hearing the potato. So there it is on screen, potato rambling. I will say heavy. Yeah, there it is, heavy potato rambling, just in case. And well, I don't think we have anything else to say. Let me place this here just in case, we're fine. No, it really is only time for me to do my side of the job. Well, we might as well take a deep breath, prepare the mind, because this is going to be kind of a heavy topic, and once and for all, start. Basically, I found the term accountability some years ago, and the first time I heard about it, it wasn't something so easy to understand. But the best way I think anybody can get used to the accountability word is think about it in this way. Accountability represents the capacity of, in some sense, defining and accepting what responsibilities you end up having in your world, so to speak. You have the correct way to say it will be the chance of basically the chance, or at least the possibility of accepting what is in your realm of actions, so to speak, and what is part of your person in a sense. And the most important part of the accountability meaning is that it isn't a responsibility in itself, it is kind of a skill or a kind of sense that we develop with the time. And it is, one of the many ways that we can find accountability being used is in the shop world, so to speak, or in the when you are doing a job, when you are working in an office, when you are in a working environment, it is a very used word. In those ambients, they tend to use the word accountability for when somebody accepts what is on their own hands, so to speak. And one of the best or easiest examples to understand is if you're a worker and you're faced with the possibility of dealing with a problem, the accountability parts comes in play when you deal with it instead of saying I had the possibility, but because it wasn't in the part of my contract of what kind of jobs do I have, I didn't do it. So in a way, accountability is the action of taking care of whatever we can, not only what we necessarily need to do in our daily life, so to speak. And, in the sense of accountability for oneself, not in the work world, I came up with the definition of being accountable for our own actions, emotions, thoughts, responses, interactions, and any other kind of reaction that we end up having to the world. There is nothing that we cannot be accountable for, so to speak. And we have always the chance of saying what is part of us and what is really in our control, so to speak. And I can confirm this is something that has a lot to do with what we talked in one of the earliest streams. Accountability is also taking notice of what is it that we are doing and how is it that we are doing it. Not because we are doing anything wrong or good, so to speak, but rather because we can simply, by accepting the responsibility itself, notice how we are going on things and how is it that we are working on the topics that affect us in general. There is, yeah, there is, yeah, sorry for that. The correct way to say it will be accountability can also be taken in a bad way, so to speak. You can be, or you can end up being accountable for a lot more than what you really have in control, because you never learned how to really be accountable for those things that really are in your control. So it really is a hard definition, and I'm sorry if it is hard to understand. The best way to understand it, as at least as I find it, is if you find it a concept worth thinking about, search for it, because I'm trying to squeeze a lot of information here, so we might as well be having some problems in the whole conversation. There is a lot of information that I might be missing, and in this case I can also tell you that I am taking accountability for the fact that I know I am lacking, and therefore I am helping you and giving you at least the possibility of working on it later on. Even if you do not right now find it interesting, I am pretty sure it will pique your interest later on down the line. But well, moving on. Well, before moving on, let me take some water. It really makes me nervous, so I really need some water. Well, let me check. Oh, hello, William. I'm sorry, I am kind of lost in thoughts here. Going back. Yeah. In general, the act of real accountability for oneself isn't on the simple idea of saying, well, yeah, this is part of me and this is part of the other, but rather working on those things that really became a part of us and really comfort the person itself that we end up being. There are the problem with it, I will say, is that there are a lot of ways to go around that concept in general. Not because it is kind of hard to speak about, but rather because it can be applied to an excessive amount of places, so to speak. It would be like saying to take action, so to speak. You can take action in a lot of ways, so it really is kind of weird to say take action as a really simple thing. In this case, you can think about accountability as, for example, you can hold yourself accountable not only for how you think but also how you act in front of others and also in front of yourself. Sometimes you can be the one who holds itself accountable, not only for the ideas that you have but for the reactions that you have, not only for the decisions that you make but also for the desires that you negate from yourself. Accountability is really a widespread term, so to speak, and you really might find a lot of troubles in finding how to properly apply it if you do not completely also not understand, rather, well, in a sense they mean the same, but comprehend fully what it means to be accountable of yourself. And yeah, before rambling more and more about what it means, let's move on to why is it important. The idea that you have the possibility of holding yourself accountable for whatever it is in a sense enticing because you accept what you are, and you also identify those problems that you have in any area of your life. And I think, yeah, the correct way to say it will be, even if you do not work on them directly, the simple act of addressing the problems that you are facing in your daily routine are a way or a gate for yourself to start having at least a notion about how you might come up with a solution for them, as well as not real problems in a sense, but those minuscule annoyances that you find in your own personality, in your own ways of conducting in front of others. There are a lot of ways you can kind of, so to speak, hold yourself accountable. So it really is kind of a weird concept. If we are being realistic here, we cannot say that holding yourself accountable is simple, but when you try to do so, you at least start understanding more what the, yeah, at the end of the day, what yourself or the most deep parts of you is. In a sense, is I wouldn't want to say it becomes kind of a meditation. We have around these places of the world, we have kind of depraved those those terms from their real meaning. So if I were to say, or if I were to tell you that when you hold yourself accountable, you're kind of meditating on what you are, you might be getting the wrong idea. But it also, I also have to accept in this case the amount of accountability that I can hold the others for. I don't really know how you will take it, so we will hope you at least do not hear it as something religious or something kind of, yeah, in any kind of way related to a way of thinking, so to speak. It simply is a tool that you have at your disposal, or you don't. If you decide to take it, you're fine. If you also decide to not take it, you're also fine. It is you who, at the end of the day, drives his own car in the road of the life, so to speak. But well, we're fine. There is also another part of accountability, and it is the idea that when you learn how to hold not only yourself accountable, because as I said before, it is a skill that takes time to develop, and in this case, it might even take, or even might be one of those trial and error things, purely based on trial and error tool. You might end up finding also that in the end, there is also a limit on how much you can hold yourself accountable for and how much responsibility lies in others. For example, if I were to tell you, uh, yeah, one good example would be for, even if you wanted or even if you desire to be in another place of the world right now, there are always situations that make you be where you are right now, and you might as well don't have the possibility of changing anything like that. So it becomes kind of important to at least try to understand why those things are like that and why you cannot, in a sense, escape them, so to speak. Um, but well, hello, Purpur Lavandel. Um, I, well, yeah, I don't want to distract myself too much. This is kind of a very intense topic, so I'm sorry if I'm not attentive to chat. I was aware. Well, yeah. There is also a very funny idea behind the whole concept of accountability, and that is when you understand how much responsibility lies in your decisions solely on your side, so to speak, you might as well start finding that even if you didn't want to, because it comes generally from a simpler place of the mind, so to speak, you end up sometimes really blaming others from decisions that in the deepest part of yourself you don't want to take, so to speak. So it is one of those ideas. So if we're being honest, when you speak about accountability, you also speak about the concept of also accepting that sometimes when you are really talking about others, you end up referring to yourself or referring to those parts of you that in a sense you don't really want to face. One of the very good examples I remember about it was when you're a kid and you decide to blame, for example, you are in a classroom, the teacher decides to go out, and before going out, the teacher leaves a cookie jar open, not for everybody to take, but simply open. If you were to decide and take one, it wasn't because somebody else told you or because you really, in a sense, feared what others were going to do to you if you didn't take that action. Rather, a lot of times, the simple act of taking a cookie comes from the idea of simply wanting a cookie and not contemplating the consequences of your own action or your own misbehavior, so to speak. So it really feels weird to think about the fact that a lot of times, even if you don't want to, because, for example, a kid wouldn't really find on itself that it is kind of telling, or its own mind is kind of telling him to do or not to do anything because there will be or there wouldn't be a consequence. A lot of times, even if we do not face them properly, we know what will be the consequences of doing or not doing things. So, in that sense, being having the possibility of holding oneself accountable for whatever it is that we're trying to do becomes not only a good tool but rather an a really useful thing to have it at hand, because you end up finding that the average person, so to speak, and not to be so harsh on the one who's listening, the average person tends to really put a lot of blame or tends to direct a lot of their own responsibilities on others and tend to rely what they really wanted or they really not desire to do in what others might or might have not said to them. And it isn't in, yeah, as we were saying, it isn't in reality, because that was the complete world they were living in, so to speak, but rather because sometimes we do not want to face those deeper desires or those darker ideas that we tend to have, so to speak. I might have used the wrong term there, but we're fine. It is also on me, not not the best speaking capability, so I'm sorry. But well, why? I don't really know if I was kind of able to give you, as somebody that might have never heard about the term, why it is kind of important to develop such a skill, so to speak. I will say, or I will think at least, yeah, when you find that you have the possibility of, in a sense, judging from an outsider perspective, what is it that you are doing, and yeah, how is it that you are kind of reacting to things, you find in your life a lot of responses, or at least um, this is something that also relates to what we talked before. You also find a lot of patterns that you tend to follow that might not come from where you really think they they came, or at the very least might not really mean what you really thought they meant, so to speak. Because at the end of the day, for example, it I I don't fucking care in this case. Um, it isn't a lot of times that the one who is antisocial in a sense doesn't no has fear of being social, but rather that person a lot of times doesn't want to socialize on itself, and there might be the possibility of having experienced a bad or yeah, having experienced a traumatic moment in the past. It is a possibility, but it also is a reality that a lot of people, when they have the chance of not doing what might not be a completely an obligation, end up being, yeah, their way of acting end up being the simplest answer. In this case, not doing what is it that at the end they don't even find a benefit from, so to speak. Mm, well, yeah, I think there is nothing more else to say. I have really, I don't know how much I have been going about it, but I know I'm kind of mentally drained already. But well, I think what I really think right now is that I need to check mentally what I have said. Are we back? Are we completely back? Are we finally back? Internet, can you stop throwing a fucking fit when for once I decide to talk about something that I think it is important. And now, exactly now, you decide to fucking die on me. Are we really playing like this? Are you done? Internet? You're fine? Can I fucking continue? Okay, it seems we are back. Well, yeah. As I meant to say before, I'm sorry. Um, as I meant to say before, it is also. Stop, I have to fucking movement over here on OBS. I just had a fucking overload of information in a moment. Stop it. There it is. As I wanted to say, there is also another side of the accountability idea, and that is at the end of the day, when you, in this sense, we cannot refer to the accountability concept as a tool, but rather as a load. When you load yourself with accountability, you end up being on the opposite side of taking accountability for your whole life, for everything that goes through you, and for every single part that you experience, so to speak. And it isn't because you really are those things, or you really held, so to speak, the complete responsibility about anything that happened to you, but rather because mentally we tend to, I wouldn't say everybody, it is a lie that everybody does it, but in general, there is people that has that tendency to overload themselves with responsibilities, and in this case really with the accountability of the whole things on their lives, so to speak. Yeah, I have been trying to avoid to give an example, but in this case it would be, for example, if you were to go through a bad experience, or if you were to go through a bad, yeah, if you, this is fucking going wrong still. I just saw that it said unstable. Please God no. Well, so I was trying to say, in this case, for example, I could say, oh yeah, you know what? It is my whole problem. Why? Because I didn't decide in this exact moment to change my internet company, or to start streaming with the internet from my phone instead of using my PC, because it somehow might work better than what I am doing right now. So I might as well try to stop what I am doing now, change to something better, and stop doing all of this in a bad way, so to speak. There are some, yeah, even if you try to, you might fail in holding yourself accountable, thinking that literally everything in your life is your own responsibility. We're social beings, so to speak. You cannot avoid finding in others a certain sense of, at the very least, responsibility, and at the very least, the idea that they might as well also have something to do with whatever it is you are trying to achieve. For, for example, if you were to say, I want to I want to form the best football team, you cannot hold yourself accountable when one of your players, you become the manager, so to speak, and one of your players somehow end up dying. Can you really think about yourself as the person who caused that? Because I literally just said a person died. There is no more context. Why will you take the responsibility of such an act behind or under your hood of responsibility, so to speak? We sometimes never stop to check the situations that really happen in our lives, and we tend to generalize everything. In it is weird because even if we try to say that we are more gray than black or white, or so to speak, we tend to be more complex than simply being one of the two polar opposites. In reality, there tends to be a lot more of polarities in general. You might as well be completely, you might you might be holding yourself completely accountable for every single event in your life, even if you don't are completely conscious about it. Or on the other side, you might be also holding others accountable for what in the end is your responsibility. It, it is a weird thing, so to speak, because at the end of the day, only you really know how is it that you are doing in that regard. But I mean, it isn't something that we can solve. As long as you are able to understand whatever it is that I am saying right now, you have the possibility of changing. As long as you have also the freedom of thinking, you have the possibility of taking by your own hands whatever it is you decide to become. Why? Because in reality, if you weren't able to understand what I am saying right now, you wouldn't even be here, so to speak. And I don't mean it in, oh yeah, the whole destiny aligned you to be here. No. It is a simple matter of a person is speaking, is putting words in a certain order, they make sense to you, and because it makes sense to you, you decide to think. Simple as that, nothing else. But well, I think I really exhaust the accountability topic for at least for today. Even if I hope to not have left anything behind, I know I did, but we will deal with it later on. I mean, I already am exhausted from so much rambling today, so we're fine. Random noises, yeah. Well, let me do this. There it is. Oh man. Well, at least before continuing, let me mark this as completed. 50, I can say 51, 30. Well, there it is. Finally, we tackled the topic, at least for now. Now, the real thing is to... Well, yeah, I am really kind of exhausted. If there is no question, if there is no funnier thing to change and to go to right now, mentally I cannot think about anything else to speak. So we aren't facing a problem, we're simply facing the exhaustion I created on myself. Haha. Yeah, let me check. I hope there is somebody to write. I at least hope that. Is this person still? Okay, there it is. We will do it. No, with this one. This link over here. Let me copy it. Move to here, and simply slash. Remove this part. Hello Twitch, are you going to work? Twitch? Okay, take this. Well, slash array, that's one thing, and now we finally have the possibility of doing this. There it is, the red message. Have a great one, and thank you for tuning in. If you were able to somehow reside through that whole mental mess, and if you weren't and decided to come back to this stream, or somehow you thought it was a great idea to watch this, also thank you. I don't know who did you come here, but well, it isn't my problem. Have a great one.